The locker room door didn't just open, it splintered. If you listen closely to the raw footage captured by the security cams at the Wells Fargo Center, you can hear the sound of oxygen leaving the room the second Bron Breakker stepped into the frame. This wasn't the usual post-show frustration. This wasn't a superstar blowing off steam after a tough loss. This was the visual manifestation of a hunt. And at the end of that hunt sat Adam Pearce, a man who thought his biggest problem of the night was simply managing the logistics of a chaotic Royal Rumble. He was wrong. Dead wrong. Welcome back to Wrestling Apocalypse. Today, we are breaking down the absolute carnage that has left the WWE management structure in total shambles. We're talking about the spear heard round the world, the medical updates currently filtering out of the local trauma center, and the terrifying conspiracy theory being screamed by the badass himself. Bron Breakker is claiming that his elimination from the Royal Rumble wasn't an accident of physics, it was a hit job. And he's naming Adam Pearce as the mastermind. Let's set the scene, because the atmosphere leading up to this was a powder keg. Bron Breakker entered the Royal Rumble match looking like an absolute force of nature. For 12 minutes, the ring belonged to him. He wasn't just wrestling, he was clearing clutter. Every time those lights flickered and the countdown hit 0, the person walking down that ramp looked like they were walking toward a car crash. We saw veterans, we saw monsters, and we saw rising stars all bounce off the chest of the second-generation powerhouse. The crowd was beginning to believe that we were seeing the arrival of the next era. But then, the glitch happened. It was a sequence that felt off from the moment it started. As Breakker was dominating the corner, a series of production errors seemed to distract the officiating team. In the chaos, 3 men who had already been eliminated, men who should have been halfway to the airport, somehow found their way back to ringside. The referee was busy dealing with a phantom turnbuckle issue on the opposite side of the ring. It was in that 3-second window of official blindness that Breakker was hauled over the top rope. He didn't lose to a competitor, he lost to a loophole. When the cameras caught Breakker on the floor, he wasn't just angry, he was calm. And in the world of professional wrestling, a calm Bron Breakker is infinitely more dangerous than a screaming one. He didn't look at the men who threw him out. He didn't look at the ring. He looked directly at the gorilla position. He looked directly at where he knew Adam Pearce was standing with a headset on. Fast forward 45 minutes. The main event has concluded, the pyro has gone off, and the fans are filing out into the cold night air, buzzing about the winner. But backstage, the vibe was freezing over. Sources say that Adam Pearce was in his private office, finishing up a debrief with the medical staff, when the hallway went silent. You know that silence, the kind that happens when a predator walks into a room and every other animal holds its breath. The door to Pearce's office didn't just give way, it was practically vaporized. Breakker didn't say a word at first. He just stood there, his chest heaving, steam literally rising off his shoulders in the cool air of the arena. Pearce, to his credit, tried to maintain the general manager persona. He stood up, adjusted his tie, and started to explain the unfortunate technicalities of the evening. He tried to use the corporate jargon we've heard 1,000 times. But Breakker wasn't there for a lecture on policy. "You did it, Adam," Breakker growled. The audio from the nearby boom mic caught it clear as day. "You saw the writing on the wall. You saw that I was going to take the keys to this kingdom, and you realized you couldn't control me. So you pulled the strings. You orchestrated the distraction. You made sure the Golden Boy didn't ruin your plans for WrestleMania." Pearce tried to back away, reaching for his phone, likely to call security. He never got the chance. In a space that small, there is no escaping a man who moves like a guided missile. Breakker didn't punch him. He didn't kick him. He did the one thing that has become the most feared visual in the industry today. He backed into the corner of the office, let out a bark that echoed through the entire backstage area, and launched. The spear was devastating. Because it happened in a confined office, there was nowhere for the impact to dissipate. Pearce was driven through his own mahogany desk, the wood snapping like dry kindling. The sound was sickening, a mix of crashing furniture and the physical thud of a human being losing the ability to breathe. Security flooded the room seconds later, but the damage was done. Pearce was unconscious, his eyes rolled back, his body limp amidst the wreckage of his own workspace. As the paramedics rushed in with a neck brace and a backboard, Breakker didn't resist the dozen security guards trying to haul him away. He simply stared down at the broken general manager and whispered loud enough for the cameras to hear, "The apocalypse doesn't follow your schedule, Adam. It follows mine." Currently, the reports coming out are grim. Adam Pearce has been diagnosed with cracked ribs, a grade 2 concussion, and internal bruising that will keep him off television for the foreseeable future. But the physical injuries are only half the story. The real injury is to the stability of the brand. With Pearce sidelined, who is running the show? Who is going to hold Bron Breakker accountable? Or, more terrifyingly, was Breakker right? Think about the stakes here. If Pearce really was the mastermind behind a conspiracy to keep the title away from Breakker, then the internal politics of the WWE have reached a level of toxicity we haven't seen since the days of the corporation. Why would Pearce want Breakker out? Is it fear? Is it a directive from higher up? Or is it simply that Breakker is a variable that cannot be programmed, and in the world of corporate wrestling, an unprogrammed variable is a threat to the bottom line? The fallout from this is going to be felt for months. We are looking at a power vacuum that Bron Breakker seems more than happy to fill with violence. Fans on social media are divided. Half the WWE universe is horrified by the assault on an official, calling for Breakker's permanent suspension. The other half? They're wearing the "Breakker was robbed" shirts. They saw the same footage we did. They saw the referees looking the other way. They saw the illegal interference. They see a man who was pushed to the edge by a corrupt system and decided to push back with 250 pounds of muscle and rage. As we move toward the next premium live event, the shadow of the spear hangs over every match. If the management can be taken out in their own office, no one is safe. The locker room is on edge, the board of directors is in emergency meetings, and somewhere in a darkened gym, Bron Breakker is likely preparing for his next target. He didn't just break Adam Pearce's ribs, he broke the illusion of order. The question we have to ask ourselves now is, what happens when the man in charge is no longer there to say no? What happens when the monster realizes that the cage was never actually locked? We are entering a period of pure, unadulterated chaos, and honestly, it's exactly what the wrestling world needs. The mastermind is in a hospital bed, and the demolition man is roaming free. We're going to be tracking this story every hour as more medical updates on Adam Pearce become available and as we wait for the inevitable statement from the WWE board. Is a suspension coming? Or is the fear of Breakker so great that they'll give him whatever he wants just to keep him from spearing the rest of the staff? This is the kind of moment that changes the trajectory of a career. Bron Breakker just stopped being a prospect and became a problem. And for Wrestling Apocalypse, we love a good problem. Make sure you're staying tuned, because the fallout on the upcoming episode of Raw is going to be historic. Before we head out, I want to hear from you. Do you think Adam Pearce actually conspired against Bron Breakker, or is Breakker just a sore loser looking for someone to blame? Was the spear justified, or did he cross a line that he can never come back from? Drop your theories in the comments below. I read every single one of them, and the debate is just getting started. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on all things wrestling, from the locker room secrets to the ringside carnage, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We don't just report the news here, we live the chaos. Thanks for watching Wrestling Apocalypse. Stay dangerous, stay loud, and we'll see you at the next crash site.